It is Wham Wednesday on Tuesday. We're going to wait a few minutes for people to join. So thank you for joining us. And I see Dave joined and Emily. Hey guys, what's up? I'll wave. Oh, shit. Sorry guys. Alright, let's get this party started, shall we? I think so. Okay. Cool. So we are going to get this party started because we have a little bit of a recipe going for you guys today. So today we are going to be making corn pasta with ricotta. Welcome to Wham Wednesday. It's actually Tuesday, but I have some work stuff going on tomorrow, so it's Wham Wednesday on Tuesday. I'll be back on Wednesday, provided no more work stuff, no guarantees. But Wham Wednesday starting. We're doing some corn pasta with ricotta, and it's like one of my favorite recipes. So let's get into it. So we're going to start just by heating a little bit of olive oil on about medium-high heat, and we have some beautiful olive oil right here. Hey Nikki, I'm sorry I do not ship to Atlanta, but if you visit me, I can promise to make this for you. Is that a good trade? Alright, so we have some olive oil that is heating in my pan right now, and it's just on about medium to high heat. We don't want to go too hot because it's olive oil, and olive oil has a lower smoke point, which means it burns faster than other oils that, you know, might be a little bit more stable, such as like a canola or sunflower, but olive oil imparts a really nice flavor, and it's a little bit better for you, so we're going with olive oil today. Plus it's delicious. So yeah, that's what we're starting with. Morgan, I do take resis. You're welcome to come join me for the next Wham Wednesday. So shout out if you guys see Morgan Newsty next time. That's why. So, okay, we have some olive oil that's heating, and what we're going to do is we have half an onion, garlic, and about 2 cobs of corn that I've taken off of the kernel right here. As this olive oil is heating, and it's getting pretty hot, I can feel it. If I start schwitzing, I apologize. And we're just going to take this and add our onion to the pot. And here we go. And I've never put the cutting board over here before, but I wanted you guys to kind of see what was going on. So it's a little bit of a trial and error because it's getting a little hot on my left hand, but we're going to make it work. Okay, so in goes the onion, in goes the garlic, in goes those 2 things. They're going to sizzle for a little bit. We're going to go ahead and add our about 2 cobs worth of corn. They're going to join the party. Bye guys. We're going to take a spoon and we're just going to get these guys sizzling and going, and it's going to start smelling really freaking good because all that garlic is going to go, all of that onion is going to get all up in there and smell delicious. And as you go, you're just going to, like, you know, onion kind of likes to stick together, so we're just going to poke it a little bit, break up some of those pieces. And we're also going to salt and pepper as we go every single step. This just like builds flavor in your dishes. If you are one of those people who thinks you could just salt at the end, it's probably better to, you know, do it throughout just so you can build those layers of flavor. We have a question from Emily. Do we need fresh corn? You don't, but, you know, it's summer and, like, I'm hanging on to the vestiges of summer with all my might. So I'm using fresh corn, but if you wanted to enjoy this in the winter or in another season when corn is not really available, then you can totally use frozen corn. Just kind of dump the whole bag of frozen corn in there and get your recipe going. Good question. So we're going to salt and pepper as we go. Mostly salt. I love salt. I think I'm like probably over salt things, but you know what? It makes things delicious. And what we do by sauteing the onion and the garlic first is we give it a little bit of a char, give it a little bit of flavor, so it helps make everything taste delicious later on. And this goes for about anything that's like sauce or soup. You're always going to want to get your onion and garlic and your flavor components in there first, even herbs sometimes, because charring it really brings out those natural sugars and brings out those amazing flavors. So getting a little bit of color on them or a little bit of a roastiness to them before you start adding your other ingredients really helps. So we're going to stir. It's looking delicious, and it's really starting to like plump up. All of the liquids are starting to leave the onion. They're starting to leave the garlic. They're starting to leave the corn. They're coming out into the whole thing, and you're starting to get like this beautiful, like almost like a saucy consistency as the corn tenderizes. So we're going. And we just had a question from Morgan. What inspired this recipe? So, first of all, corn inspired this recipe because I love corn. We'll go into that a little bit later. But really, who inspired this recipe is my favorite Instagrammer, Diane Morrissey. Guys, I'm obsessed with her. I think she's amazing. She is a food Instagrammer. She lives in Connecticut, and she just makes the most unbelievable things. Like, I totally appreciate so many food bloggers try to make things really healthy and really good for you. But not Diane. Diane just gives you the good old-fashioned, most delicious thing possible, and I really appreciate her for that. And she's kind of like a mom to everybody who follows her, so I no offense, mom, but like she's like my cooking mom. I mean, I have a cooking mom, but like she's like, you know, the cooking lady, so I just love her, and she made this recipe a little while ago and really inspired me. Okay, our corn is looking plump and delicious, and we have salted. We're going to add a little bit of pepper. I wish you guys could smell this because it smells amazing, like phenomenal. And we're going to go ahead and take a little bit of stock, and you can use any stock you want. You can use chicken or vegetable. I like to make my own vegetable stock. And what you're going to do is you're just going to pour this into the pot, and it's going to simmer for about like 5 minutes or so. And it's going to really tenderize all that delicious corn and make it so yummy. Guys, this recipe is like so great. It's so fast. There's like 3 ingredients. Okay, more than 3 ingredients, but such a simple ingredient list. I can't recommend it enough. In you go. It might feel weird to make a sauce with corn, but hey, it's delicious. Okay, in we go. So we have just poured our veggie broth into the corn. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring the heat up a little bit so it starts to simmer. And what you do when you bring it to a boil, a lot of recipes will say bring to a boil and then down to a simmer. And not only does the boiling help from a food safety aspect, I'm really passionate about food safety, I'm a food scientist, so it just like makes sure everything that could potentially grow in there gets boiled out. But it also helps bring it up to temperature much faster. If you just sat around on low heat and waited for it to come to temperature, you would never get there. It just takes way too long. So what the boil does is it brings it up to the temperature you want, and then it brings it down to, and then you can bring it down to a simmer, and it just helps it go much, much faster. So we're going to stir this up and let this just, you see I'm bringing it to a boil, and then I'll bring it down to a simmer. So here we go. We got some bubbles forming. And guys, I'm so passionate about corn. It's kind of weird. It's like a little nerdy, but that's okay. If you guys don't know, I'm a food scientist, and I work on a tortilla chip brand called Garden of Eden. And as you guys know, tortilla chips are made of corn. It's corn oil and salt are the main ingredients, and I love tortilla chips. I love my brand. Working on this brand has made me so much more aware of corn and how it plays a role in our lives. And I feel like a lot of people get afraid of corn because it's gotten a little bit of a bad rap, but it shouldn't. It's delicious, and it has, you know, delicious things in it, and I love it. The brand I work on is called Garden of Eden, and we actually mainly operate in blue corn. So if you guys didn't know this, corn doesn't necessarily just come in a yellow/white format. There are so many different cultivars of corn. You can have red corn or blue corn or green corn even, and it comes in all shapes and sizes. You have sweet corn and starchy corn. I could keep talking about this for way too long. You guys don't want to hear that much about corn, but hey, it's a corn dish, so that's what we're going to talk about today. So we have this going, and like I said, you want to season at every step. It really just helps build that flavor. You know, I would not recommend seasoning all at the end. I would definitely hit it every time you go, and you're really just going to have flavor permeating throughout. And just so you guys know, on the side here, I have some pasta that I prepared a little bit earlier. I have some angel hair going. So angel hair is great to use here, but honestly any noodle would be good. I could see spaghetti being good, or like that really good bucatini where it has the hole in the center. That stuff is amazing, and I think that would work really well here. Yeah, so just kind of make it your own. Most of my recipes are going to be, I'm going to say make it your own, and I really mean that. You know, whatever you have in your house you can use. It's not really a certain specific pasta. So this is going to simmer for about 5 minutes. I think that we're probably, you know, 3-4 minutes in, and we have a nice bubble going here. Smells phenomenal. Smells like the best vegetables ever. And yeah, so we're gonna just keep this going. So another fun fact about corn, last Halloween I was corn for Halloween. Randomly have a yellow corn shirt, and I like got a little wreath of fronds in my hair, and I walked around it was at the office, so a little bit appropriate because I work for a food company, and I kind of walked around the office like this all day, like peeling the corn off. It was really nerdy. It was really nerdy, but it was so much fun. Okay, so we have a real boil going now. I'm gonna bring it down to a little bit more of a simmer. We're gonna get this guy to keep going, and as you go, the liquid will start to reduce down, but we don't want it to reduce down too much because all that beautiful corny liquid makes your beautiful sauce. And what you could even do there, if you wanted to infuse more of that flavor, is take your corn cob. If you did buy corn on the cob, you could take your dekerneled cob and toss it right in here, and that'll continue to like leach out delicious, sweet, corny flavor that'll just make your sauce that much better. For this year for Halloween, I'm not sure what I'm going to be, but if you guys have any suggestions, I'll take it. I mean, I did use the corn outfit twice. First, 2 years ago I was corn, and then last year I was a corn dog, so I also wore like little puppy ears and like had my corn shirt on, and then waited for people to get the pun, and it took too long, and it was it was probably a little too much. But I will take suggestions for Halloween costumes because I haven't come up with one yet, but I know it's really around the corner. Okay, so smells delicious. We're gonna give it a little taste because we want to make sure that the flavor's right before we start blending. And it's definitely boiled. Okay, guys, that is some good stuff. So much flavor happening there. Perfect amount of red pepper. Sorry, David, it might be a little too much, but this is dinner, so. All right, so we have boiled down our corn here. It's looking delicious. It's smelling delicious. I'm gonna eat one more kernel to make sure that it's actually cooked to the right tenderness, because we have a beautiful simmer going on here. Oh, sorry, little guy. You are being sacrificed. I think it needs like another minute. I would say about another minute. Alrighty. So in the meantime, like I said, we have some beautiful pasta that was hanging out back here. Angel hair, use whatever you want. And the last element of this that is really important is going to be your ricotta. Now, today I'm not using ricotta, so I'm a little bit of a liar. Sorry, but we are using something else that any kind of like creamy cheese would really work well here. So today I don't have ricotta, but I did pick up this beautiful goat cheese from the farmer's market. And it's from Ardith May, if anybody's on the Upper West Side Farmer's Market and wants to stop by. Haven't tried it yet, but it smells amazing. And that is going to be our creamy element to this. So if you are not feeling goat cheese, or you're not feeling ricotta, or you don't have it in the house, so many different things could work here. I think a burrata ball cut up, that's how Diane does it. The OG recipe maker does it. She just cuts up like burrata and like lets it like droop out all over the pasta. I think a mascarpone would work really beautifully here. I think even cream cheese could work in a pinch. Or honestly, if you're not feeling the dairy and you want this to be a vegan recipe, you can totally just take out the cheese altogether. I'm a cheese lover, would not recommend it, but you can definitely do that if that is something that you would prefer. Okay, I think we have gotten to the point where this corn is looking so plump and so tender, and it's time to blend. So I'm going to turn the heat off. And you can do this in a blender if you don't have an immersion blender, but I do have an immersion blender. Highly recommend one of these guys. It's a great tool. It basically lets you blend anything in the pot it's already in. So if you want, I use it for everything. I use it for soups, for sauces. I even make smoothies with this. I just put everything into like a big bowl and then blend it up. Mine's from Cuisinart. I like it a lot. It's done the trick for me. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take our beautiful corn, brothy, oniony deliciousness that's happening over here, and we are going to go ahead and blend it up. I'm not going to blend it all the way because I do want a little bit of texture in there, so I'm going to keep it a little bit like a little pieces of whole corn still happening in there because I want to still have that bite as I go through it. If you're like in camp, I want it completely blended, I want it completely homogenized, I'm not into different textures, then I would totally recommend that you just blend this whole baby up and just go for it. Alrighty, so I apologize if it's loud, and I'm going to tilt the pot so we're completely submerged, otherwise you get splashes. I've learned that way too many times. And let's see if this works. Oh yeah. So we are almost there. That's all it took, like 5 seconds. If you don't have an immersion blender, that's totally fine. I want you to take half of this out, put it into your blender. Be careful because it's going to be hot. Blend that puppy up, and then pour it back into this pot. And that's a great workaround if you do not have an immersion blender. If you're on the edge about buying an immersion blender, I recommend you do because I love them. Yes, Salt Bae is totally feeling me with this immersion blender game. Okay, so we are at the final step here, people. What we're going to do is we are going to take some of this beautiful pasta, and we're going to take some of this beautiful sauce, and we're just going to lay it over in a nice, beautiful way. So on you go. And we're going to give it a little toss-a-rooney with some tongs just to get everybody happy together in the pot. And I like to do this before I put some more sauce on top, just to make sure everybody has a little bit of sauce on it. This pasta I tossed in olive oil before just to keep it, not from sticking together. If your pasta is coming straight out of the pot, I don't want you to put anything on it. I just want you to start saucing it immediately. Okay, so we have half that. Now we're going to dollop a little bit more sauce over top. And it's looking nice. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take this beautiful goat cheese from my New York farmer's market. And like I said, ricotta works well here, burrata works well here, mascarpone. I think you could really, let your mind go crazy and do whatever cheese you fancy. And we're just going to take little dollops of it and just kind of like give it a little shake and let it sit over top. And what's going to happen is as it sits in this hot sauce, it's going to start to melt down and get really delicious and really yummy. So we're going to keep just dolloping. And this would be less of a loud noise if we were working with ricotta because it's a little, obviously, a little bit easier to come off the spoon, but we have these beautiful dollops. And then our final step is going to be, this is optional, but I have an herb garden, and my herb garden has way too many herbs right now, so I'm putting fresh herbs on everything, and that's not a bad thing. We're going to take some basil. I think thyme would work really well here too, and we're just going to give it a little, take it off the leaves, give it a little push on top. You could even tear it, which really gets the aromas going. It smells beautiful. And guys, I think we have finished our Wham Wednesday. So here's our final result. David, dinner is ready, so let's get that table set. We'll consider outside and nosh on some pasta. Thank you guys for joining me so much. This has been so awesome. Next week we will resume on Wednesday, pending no work emergencies, but of course I'll let you know beforehand. As always, I'll post the recipe the day before and what equipment you need, because I realize that would probably be helpful for you to have. Thank you guys for joining. This has been so much fun, and I'll see you next week.